Welcome back, gamers. Tom and Taco here, bringing you the analysis on the desk. We've got eUnited coming up next. Should be an exciting one.
eUnited versus Luminosity at that, and Luminosity, they were on a bit of a tear last time we saw them perform, and granted that was their first set of the fall split, but still a pretty strong performance out of the team.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where these guys are going to go, because eUnited, I think we know what to expect from these guys, especially you add Baskin into the mix, you're just going to see some powerful stuff. But Luminosity on the other side, this is a team that has had more question marks than exclamation points in the past, and I think as we get into this one, the fall split, that I think Luminosity could be surprising some folks at home.
Definitely some dark horse rumors going around at the moment. I mean, after the recent addition of ShadowChair to the squad, it almost feels like ShadowChair has been playing with them the entire time. For those of you that happen to catch the set that they had on Wednesday up against Splice, you could definitely tell that maybe it was a little bit of that grudge match factor that came into play there, influencing ShadowChair to really just hand it to Moswell. But I think that as a whole, Luminosity looked really on par with each other. Yeah,
Luminosity could be one of the bigger teams that kind of shows up and surprises people at home, like I was saying. I think that Weekend has been consistently improving in this Season 6. He was a great jungler, and then he was kind of an okay jungler for the past couple of seasons. But here in Season 5, I've really been enjoying watching his gameplay. You pair that up with ShadowChair, who's a little bit hungry, being newer to the Pro League, and some other speckles along the way, and I think Luminosity have a recipe that could be very successful. Now, of course, going up against the defending world champions, this is the litmus test. Even if this winds up being a loss for Luminosity, I think it's more about the gradient scale of how bad they win or lose, rather than black and white, W or L.
Well, in a sense, if you're Luminosity and you know that you're playing against eUnited, you don't really have anything to lose here, because public perception is already against them. I highly doubt that many people are really expecting Luminosity to get the upset set victory here. But if it does happen, whether it's one game or multiple, I think that Luminosity are still a team that know exactly where they stand in the public eye, and they're not concerned about that. What they want to do is just outright beat everyone else. And I mean, of course, that's what any pro team wants, is to win against their opposition. But it's just when you don't have anything to lose and everything to gain, that makes them such a dangerous team to go against.
Yeah, I get what you mean there, and that sure, everybody wants to win, but I think Luminosity are, the old sports cliche is they're more hungry. And I really try to avoid that one, but at the end of the day, I think Weekend's sitting here like, bruh, it's been a long time. He's having a lot of fun doing the stream thing, doing the YouTube thing, and buying cars and everything, but I think at the end of the day, Weekend is a winner, and you can't sit on the sideline this long enough and not want to get some revenge. So let's get right to the picks and bans and see if Weekend can do it, because like I said, this is, you know what it is? This is also a fun team to root for as well. It's really fun to watch Kurt come out, win, and like talk smack a little bit. I like a little bit of edge to my players, and I think Luminosity gives me that edge. So we'll see if Clout and the rest of the squad can really stand up and be these guys that we want them to be. But as the first bans come out, eUnited says no to Freya.
And for good reason. If they don't want to play it, why should they have to worry about Luminosity getting a chance to pick it? I like where the mindset is at so far, though. A little bit of focus towards that mid lane emphasis, I think. And for the secondary ban, we saw a whole lot of Scylla from ShadowChair, but the best part is, for ShadowChair, at least what I view to be a little bit of an advantage, is he's relatively unknown at the professional level. These pros have like their own what they're traditionally accustomed to going against. And I don't think that ShadowChair is someone that they've particularly always kept an eye out for, and now that he's been added into the pool of players that they now have to compete with, this could be a chance for Luminosity to, in a way, just surprise eUnited.
It certainly could be. Like you said, it's a different, you know, there is the meta of the game, which right now I think is irrelevant, because I think almost any character is really viable and playable. So the baseline meta is pick a god you like in a relatively safe role. And then you've got the Pro League meta, which is where we see, honestly, the high prioritization of the Athena and what the individuals play. You know that Agni's going to be exciting, but you got to watch out for ShadowChair's Scylla and what he's got up his sleeve. You got to watch out for Venenu's Discordia, right? And those flavor picks are really what is going to drive the league forward. Ratatoskr and Thoth, the choice for LG so far, and eUnited looking to pair up with their global guardian.
Something I find to be very unique, though, about eUnited is the fact that it feels as though they tend to just strip away god choices that they know the enemy teams like to use. It's like they're a team that is very good at stripping away picks and then using them against them. But what's so great about that is that you never really know what eUnited's own specific drafting style is like, because they're constantly just taking what you want to go for.
Certainly makes sense right there with the Morrigan and Anhur going to be grabbed up by eUnited. The Morrigan, I'm not so sure it's going to be in the hands of Baskin. I think we might even see it in the jungle for Screammmmm, but we'll keep an eye on that one. Anhur, I think that's pretty cut and dry. That one's going to go to PandaCat. And LG with the last pick of their first half of the draft. That's going to be Kumbhakarna, and undoubtedly going to Geno.
What's to stop this from being on Anhur in the mid lane and Morrigan in the hunter role?
Honestly, nothing. Yeah, honestly, nothing.
I almost feel like that's what PandaCat would rather do. I'm not sure that his team is as behind him on that decision, especially after some rather questionable Loki ultimates.
Oh my goodness!
Past.
Well, the Loki ultimates are one thing, but all I have to do, my condolences going out to PolarBearMike, who now has to deal with another troll on his team in Baskin, because I feel like PandaCat might have said that with Nanu on the squad, and Nanu would go, "No, give me the Morrigan." Now Baskin's going, "Yeah, I want to play Anhur," and PolarBearMike's like, "Please."
If they get a chance to like watch back the games later on today, and then they'll hear us talking about this, and Baskin will be like, "Hey, that was brilliant.
That's an idea.
That's what we should do next time."
We'll see how that one all unfolds. Yi going to be in the hands of Clout, undoubtedly. Well, Ravana will be the jungle of choice for Screammmmm, who has had a fantastic stretch thus far in the summer, even in the spring when eUnited did come a little short to rival, but Screammmmm has been consistently strong on the Ravana, and now that he's an assassin, even more so. And a little bit of an interesting selection with the Bellona. Not something you see every day.
Hyper-aggressive solo jungle combination, though, between Ravana and Bellona. I think that we are definitely going to see a little bit of buff invades happen here, and with Chang'e being added onto Luminosity here, I am suspecting that this is going to be for Kiki in the solo lane, and Chang'e in a direct 1v1 matchup, she doesn't win that trade for the first few levels. Right around 7 and onwards, I think, is where she might begin to take off a little bit, get that poke damage better onto Benji for whether he's on, I'm assuming he's on Bellona right
Most
now,
likely.
But I do think that Chang'e is also a great god to try and take into this Bellona matchup, because if he does manage to play a safe laning phase, then he also has the immunity with that Moonlit Dance to avoid a lot of the bludgeon damage that he might otherwise be succumbed to.
Well, the Chang'e and the Bellona, two solo lane characters we haven't seen in a while. Who's going to win? Not just the lane, but the game overall. Will the defending world champions continue what they're expected to do, or is it going to be LG across the way? You don't got to wait for the answer. The game coming at you live. 3, 2, 1.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Taco. Moving into Game 1, eUnited up against LG. And if you're just tuning in, you hadn't been watching the fall split yet, you might think that this is setting up to be an uneven matchup, but LG are looking pretty strong right now. eUnited, Ryan, certainly could have a tough set here.
They could, and they have struggled against Luminosity at the beginning of splits. At least they did during the summer, where they lost to Luminosity there. But I don't know, man. eUnited looked so good against Space Station earlier on this week that I really feel like that Luminosity, despite how good they looked earlier on this week themselves, they've got a tough match ahead of them.
They got certainly a lot of work to do, and they're going to be going up against Screammmmm on Ravana, and I love watching Screammmmm play this pick in particular, because Screammmmm likes to play aggressive and punch you in the face, and that's literally all Ravana does. So he gets to walk up to you and punch you right in the mouth, and it's hard to think of a better pair.
Looks like eUnited's not going to allow Clout and Geno to get away with not starting in lane. Instead, they'll strip away purple. And this is really good because look at how many minions they'll miss on that left-hand side. They missed 2 maximum, but I'm pretty sure PandaCat was in range to get that extra little melee creep right before it died. So this is a pretty good start now for eUnited, because they get to strip away that buff from Luminosity. They get 2 to 1 extra minions, and then they get to go clear their own buffs. They're going to be way ahead in XP in that dual lane. And Athena on her is a great kill lane, especially when you look at that Sunder that PBM picked up. here at level 1, upgraded even. There, you really need to be concerned if you're Geno or Clout.
Purple buff, though, we're having a bit of a toss-up. 2-man knockup from PandaCat with the leap in. Clout, still level 1, doesn't have very many tools to help, and they are on their way out of there. You just absolutely don't want to stick around. PolarBearMike keeps the purple buff leashed, and eUnited defend their farm.
And that's where that level advantage comes into play. PandaCat just has an extra ability to give him some mobility, to deal some extra damage. He had it all ready to go.
PolarBearMike dashes in aggressively, and as you mentioned, with that Sunder lying in wait, it is indeed used. He's a little bit extra threat there coming up PolarBearMike. You're not going to be able to follow up on it just yet, but again, with that upgrade, it's definitely a strong tool following up from the top.
May as well use it. It's already upgraded, so the cooldown isn't super long. Not that Sunder's cooldown is particularly long anyways. In fact, I'm not even sure it goes down when you upgrade it. It's more just about the effect that you get from it. It'll be up and ready before there's a real fight breaking out anywhere near mid lane.
Take a look and see. They are going to look for any kind of retreat path as PolarBearMike continues to go aggressive. Geno confidently taking some shots, so almost gets put into the passive. But PandaCat can't quite find it here in dual lane. But already, this Anhur Athena is just kind of bullying Luminosity.
It's been a little bit since we've seen Anhur. It's just one of those picks that has kind of been under the radar, slowly working its way up underneath, but really just the recent changes, dealing some extra damage with Desert's Fury, is a good reminder buff to be like, hey, this god is really good if you put it in the right spots and are able to take advantage when necessary. Did you forget how hard he hits in the early stages? Because my man swings in the early game. That passive, basically a mini executioner alongside that passive, means that if he can stack 2-3 auto attacks on you, doesn't matter if he's got red or you're in shifting sands, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. And then you add in the fact that he does have red and you are in shifting sands and you're almost dead.
Things get even worse for you in hurry. As PandaCat and PolarBearMike settle for the oracles there, they didn't really feel comfortable going for the repeated invade, so it is going to be Clout and Geno able to go grab their own buffs on this respawn. I always like trying to keep up on those timers and see if there's going to be repeated invades. But this is something interesting. They're giving up this red buff and the farm on their own side to PandaCat and PolarBearMike every time instead of letting that be Baskins.
Exactly. I was about to say, a little bit different than what Baskin is used to, right?
Absolutely.
Where he got all the farm before. Certainly a switch up for him, and you already see that ShadowChair is starting to gain a lead because of this. The fact that Baskin hasn't been able to come and get his own red buff XP through the early game. But Baskin on this Morrigan is so mobile with that stealth that gives him movement speed. He can kind of go hand in hand with Scream around the map and get farm elsewhere where, yes, he won't be quite as ahead, but still be fine.
Benji might be in some trouble. He does still have that Eagles rally available if he needs it, and it looks as though he will not end up needing it. He's able to force them back by itself. But man, Barracuda has got to be wondering, what do I got to say to Baskin back when he was on my team to be able to repeatedly take that red buff farm? But either way, ends up working out for him now that he's on eUnited. But we were looking at that solo lane side, right? And you and I were just talking about it. Bellona, we don't see her as much anymore. It does feel like her laning phase can still be pretty strong, yada, yada, yada. I mean, do we still feel that same way up against the Chang'e matchup? That's a different one from her normal strengths.
Yes, I think so. I think Bellona's still going to bring that same level of ability to invade your back harpies consistently. It really, maybe even less about that for Bellona, though she can absolutely fill that role, and more about her ability to come and impact team fights in mid. There aren't as many ultimates for warriors that are quite as... It has that oomph to it, if you will, where you can come into the mid lane and just stun the enemy mid laner and get a kill very, very quickly. A lot of warrior ultimates, you know, Cullens is there to be a facilitator for his rage form. Osiris is kind of a mobility option more often than not, and a little bit more difficult to land and actually be your CC setup. Guan Yu is more elongated. Bellona's is, I'm here and you're dead, and now I'm going back over to my lane. And I think that's something that, just like with Anhur, you kind of forget how powerful he is going auto for auto in lane with you. I think people forget how good Bellona is at those quick little rotations.
Oh, Clout's absolutely got to be dead to rights here, right? Scream jumps in with the Mystic Rush. Defender of Olympus is there as well. Desert Fury too far away, but dash in, taunt back, first blood over to PBM, and they got the ultimate out of Clout.
All right, so we don't have comms here in the studio, but I'm going to give a shot to what we just heard in the eUnited comms right there. My taunt, my kill. There we go. First blood for PBM.
That does go over to the support for eUnited, but excellently played. Scream was rather patient with that one as well. He had kind of been just hanging out on that duo lane side, waiting and waiting. PolarBearMike, defender of Olympus, is in. There's really nothing Clout can do from that position. I don't feel that's a big misplay from him or anything like that. He does use the beads, it would appear, in that engagement, so those will be on cooldown, but really, what more can you have your Hunter do?
Not a whole lot. When you're committing that many ultimates to get that kill, you're not going to have an easy out in that scenario.
Yeah, all you can really do in a situation like that is wonder, well, maybe there's something my team can do to sort of capitalize now that Scream doesn't have his ultimate, PolarBearMike doesn't have his, neither does PandaCat. You kind of just have to hold it in the meantime and then try and capitalize on that small power spike that you all might have. But really, there's not an opportunity for LG.
There isn't, especially when there's a Morrigan on the other side, because Baskin can just, you know, oh, PBM's ult is down. We can gank solo because they don't have Athena ult. But they do have Athena ult. It's just Baskin can use it. Maybe we can force a fight in mid. We won't have Ravana ult to worry about because that's so good at turning fights. Well, you do. It's just going to be Baskin's Ravana ult. And that's where the Morrigan is so versatile and so difficult to play against because the windows you would normally have just aren't available. And you're not used to having to play against that many global ultimates on the same team.
My man PolarBearMike going for the solo invade, probably more for the harass than anything. Doesn't have a ton of steal potential with the Athena, though. The reach passive, if it's poorly, if well timed, could certainly slide in there and steal it away. But PolarBearMike was kind of on his own for that one.
Interesting that PandaCat decides to not go for the boots rush. Usually with Anhur, he's so aggressive, has so much damage in the early game. You want to kind of leverage that as best you can, as there's the Sunder into the Desert Fury, and that did 80% of Geno's health bar. Just we're missing that last 20%. Full health makes it difficult to get that kill. Plus, Geno had the shell. That's a little bit ambitious there, I think, from the duo lane.
It was a heavy commitment, and especially with where PandaCat was for that, there just wasn't a chance for any more follow-up, as Weekend does put a little bit of poke into Benji, but not committing it. And this is interesting. Weekend has shown some face on the solo side, but never really a hard commit. They haven't been able to force Benji to use his ult or any of his cooldowns defensively, so there hasn't been any opens.
Ult from PBM for Scream, looking at Weekend, but just a little bit too late. Weekend gets through the Cosmos and is able to escape. 2 ultimates for 1, certainly favoring Luminosity, but now Weekend loses a lot of that gank potential, whereas Baskin can still use that Ratatoskr ultimate should he need it.
Just discoing a little bit there in the middle of the middle lane. That reminds me, hey, after party tickets come out, you know, buy them when they're there. You could party just like Robin did.
Nice plug, Finch.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Scream, been having a great game here so far. At least he's been around the map having some presence. And like I said, I like seeing him on a pick like this where he can be this facilitator. We saw him over to dual lane get the gank. He showed a little bit of face on solo side after Weekend has kind of been hanging out there. He finally rotated over and almost punishes him too if Defender of Olympus comes through just a little bit sooner. So really, so far, this Ravana, I feel like that's definitely one you want to have your eyes at for eUnited. Wherever Scream is, certainly there's going to be action.
Scream decides to go for the Chang'e in this spot, and it may seem a little bit weird, but there are 3 magical damage dealers on the side of Luminosity, and 3 that can actually deal significant damage. I include Kumbhakarna in there. At this point in the game, he's hitting pretty darn hard, and he's really looking to interrupt the combo that Geno has of root into guaranteed ultimate right in front of you. It's also there to try and dissuade Kiki from being able to use his Moonlit Waltz in order to get out of danger with his immune on his own side. It's a little bit, I think there is an argument to be made where Runic Shield could have been better in this spot because Kiki's going to be building so little damage that it would be really impactful. But you see Benji is the one going for the Runic Shield. So as long as Scream is ganking that solo lane, Benji will be there giving you that Runic Shield passive, and now Scream has the Chang'e passive on top of that. So it'll be very difficult for Kiki to do anything of use while he's over on that side of if Scream's over on that side of the map. So good recognition and communication between those 2.
Ultimate coming out, Defender of Olympus rather, onto Scream, but that good mez, I think, kind of just put an end to that entire thing right from the beginning. There was no way for Scream to follow up, and Geno and Clout were able to fully disengage. But my eyes, before that started, was really onto Baskin. He's completed, it looks like, this Bumbus here very early on. A lot of the times we'll see them kind of sit on that Messenger's right just for that extra movement and power, but he wants it right away.
Yeah, that is a little bit odd. We've seen Whirlwind go for the Doom Orb right after the boots. No Mage's Blessing, I don't believe that he goes for. Baskin is going to have some more CDR because of that Mage's Blessing, and it helps him clear the wave a little bit. whereas Zeros went for the full damage option at first, did pick up Messenger's Mask, but left it there. I believe Heroines is boots into Doom Orb into the Bumbas at that point. So Baskin earlier than either of those two players, but I think this does work out because I talk about it a lot when it comes to the Morrigan. Her early game damage isn't anything to really be afraid of, but that's okay because she's not going to be dealing the damage in the early game. She'll stun you and hit you with the Dark Omen, and then she will transform, and her lack of damage in her kit and in her build is irrelevant because she's using the items that Screammmmm has, or Benji has, or Weaken has.
Geno in a ton of trouble. That pillar was excellently placed. Epic Uppercut is going to come out, but there's plenty of auto attacks to set up Baskin to find the kill. Now they will not be able to invade away the red buff, but they can force the fight on Kiki with a great overhead kick.
Weaken taking to the sky, looking for a target, finds Screammmmm, good stun, but Benji has one of his own.
Dunks in with the Eagles rally, forces them back. Baskin finds the kill. Sunbreaker spreads everyone out, and Baskin still looking for the trade here in the middle lane. He turned into that Anhur with the Changeling ultimate, but he is going to have to fall back. Nice clean picks there coming out from eUnited as they were able to catch, in particular, Geno with that pillar isolated. That's
actually a really good transformation target is Anhur, and not really thought of as one of the premier Morrigan transform targets. I mean, you've got Ravana, Athena, Ratatoskr. Those are all the big, I'm going to make a big impact in this team fight with one rotation of cooldowns.
Right.
But Shifting Sands is one of the most disruptive ADC abilities in a team fight you will have, you could ever have. It's basically Hui ult that doesn't do damage. It's a massive slow area that is really hard to get past. If you have two of those in a team fight, like where do you run? You can't. You just have nowhere to go. You can't body block Desert's Fury. That does a ton of damage. He's got CC and Elite to give himself some mobility. I think it's a really smart transformation target.
I think so too, and Shifting Sands is kind of like low-key one of those abilities. It's one of those things where you're like 10 minutes into the game and you're like, why has this game sucked so hard so far? And you're like, oh yeah, it's because Shifting Sands has been in it this whole time and you've been like slow and taking way more damage and it's been super frustrating. So it's a great target for it, and Baskin has great recognition, I feel like, as well, on where to turn into, when to do it. It set him up some nice kills. And now they're a little bit further out in the lead, about 3,000 gold to their name.
Shifting Sands and bolstered defenses. Ares
right, that's another
are two of the most insane abilities that no one ever talks about.
But I'm saying even when it's happening, you almost don't realize it, but you feel it, right? You're like, where do I put this weird feeling I have? And it's to bolster defenses.
You're raging against the machine, but you don't know who the machine is. You know?
That's exactly it, yeah.
The machine was the Sands all along.
Check out Ryan in his stream for his horrible playlist like Rage Against the Machine. Stuff like that will be in there.
Finch, you and I have nearly identical playlists.
Yeah, but you don't
Mine
have enough
less
Fallout
Boy.
I didn't even need to finish. You knew what the problem was. Put more in there, baby.
God, we've been casting together too much.
It's been a little. It's been a lot here today.
I'll tell you what. Do you think I made Graham mad?
Yes. He told me about it beforehand. He was like, Finch, I need you to be extra Finch in there today. Teach Ryan a lesson.
I'll have to apologize to him.
He gave me that message earlier on, but Weaken is going with looks like a bit of our more defensive Ratatoskr build, which is something else we've seen, I think, from our junglers overall. There was a while where you kind of just wanted to go just full power and dunk people, but Ratatoskr and a lot of these junglers now can kind of go this hybrid, I feel like, in between.
It's really good against the level of aggression and power that you see from the left side of eUnited's map right now. And Benji on the Bellona, Screammmmm on the Ravana. You anticipate Baskin's going to be transforming into a lot of physical characters, whether it's you or Ravana or Bellona.
Right.
So I think this Void Shield is a good pickup for Weaken because of that reason, that he can expect he's going to be taking a lot of damage from physical damage dealers. Especially in the early game, you really don't need to itemize against the Morrigan very much. You're itemizing against what she's likely to turn into, and most of those are going to be physical.
Really, the defensive items on both sides are interesting because you highlighted the Ankylia and the Runic Shield early, but it's not just them. PBM's gone to the Genji's Guard early. They really are way more worried about the magical damage from Luminosity, it feels like, in this early game than they are about, like, maybe Weaken or Clout at this point.
Well, as you mentioned, a lot of Ratatoskr players are going a little bit tankier these days, right? Yeah. So maybe you don't have to worry about his damage quite as much. Clout on the Hou-Yi. Hou-Yi is a good hunter, but not one that you really have to really respect through the first 15 minutes of the game. He'll be an annoyance, but won't one-shot you at this point. So you can afford to kind of stack that magical defense early on.
Make sure that you're limiting some of the impact here from ShadowChair. And like you said, Kumbhakarna damage, you can't just shrug it off, I don't think. Not early on, at the very least. To cooldown boots had a little more power nowadays. That change was a while ago, but they certainly got a little more kick to them. And Geno will bring the hurt in a big way on this Kumbhakarna. They've done a good job, I feel like, focusing him out whenever they had the opportunity. You saw PandaCat almost find another pillar impale stun in this exact jungle path here earlier, but Geno just barely made it out.
I'm looking for eUnited to start Gold Furies.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's a good idea because PandaCat does a lot of damage to these. Clout's here and should be able to drop the ult and dissuade it, but taunt, beads as well. PandaCat looking for the kill here instead of the objective.
They have turned off. They've already gotten the ultimate off, and they can grab the kill. Scream gets credit. Geno the next target. Even though they got the crash in from Baskin, Geno still was able to escape. Taunt won't make it through either, but Kiki's rotated and took a ton of poke.
Weekend has to use the beads because the slow that was on him from PBM's preemptive strike is, look at Benji, man. This is Benji in a nutshell. 3 people chase them all down, and Scream's able to steal away both of those kills. Nearly a full team wipe for eUnited. Are they even worried about Gold Fury at this point? They might be able to just go for Fire Giant. Instead, they will decide to split up. So this is, I like this call from eUnited. Gold Fury is guaranteed right here. I mean, you are no doubt that Gold Fury is going down in your favor unless you really misplay with Weekend around the area. Instead, let's split up and get some farm.
Weekend is going to try and get Scream here by catching him out, but instead gets controlled. Overhead kick was perfect to allow him to separate, and Baskin finds the kill. So it's Gold Fury. It is really an unofficial deicide, as Weekend was that last remaining member, and they should likely be able to grab the Pyromancer here as well. eUnited in just this last minute. What a sequence.
Wow, yeah, their experience lead over doubles in the last few moments, and that's where splitting up is really valuable. Instead of all sticking in one lane, Benji and Baskin head towards mid alongside Scream. They pick up a wave, they steal XPs, they get Pyromancer, a kill. PandaCat's able to grab a wave on the left-hand side, and they're already back on the map and farming very, very quickly after that last engagement. I mean, PandaCat has 2,500 gold in hand. He just bought an Executioner. That's like going to the store and buying a car in cash.
It's pretty cool.
Like, you don't do that. Like, you don't do that. No one does that.
PandaCat gets it done here in this game. I want your thoughts on Weekend going in for the kill there, because I don't think that was too bad of a call. He had maybe a chance to get that done. What else really was he going to be able to do a value, and he wasn't really going to be able to defend Pyromancer either, so maybe at least look for a pick?
No, I think there's some value to that, but at the same time, if you know your team is all on respawn time, or you know eUnited is spread out and farming, you need someone who's on the map and farming just to try and stay relevant in that spot. Weekend gets more farm and more XP and gold. He's not stopping that Pyromancer.
Right, I don't think either way that's happening.
So you may as well go and take some waves, take some buffs, take some camps in order to keep yourself as relevant as possible. You're not going to slow Scream down because his team is getting him global gold and XP by taking the objectives.
Unfortunately, Weekend does take the chance and not only doesn't find the kill, but as you said, is not able to spend any time farming, dies himself. And eUnited are surging forward about an 8,000 gold lead they've got to their name. And ShadowChair might just fall here in mid to PandaCat, who even with the Defender of Olympus on him jumps away. I think they really felt like there was some pressure coming his way.
Well, it doesn't really hurt eUnited that much because ShadowChair has to go back to base and use both relics to stay alive.
That's true. From
PandaCat's aggression. So good work there in the mid lane by PandaCat.
Now, they've got positional control around the Fire Giant if they wanted, but they're looking instead to try and take these towers on the right-hand side. Tier 1 is reduced to rubble, and they will come right back towards this Fire Giant. They've got not just position control, but vision as well. LG will have to walk in the hard way just to know what's going on.
Fire Giant already down to half. Geno will be the first one in as ShadowChair tries to put some poke on a PandaCat, but the commit is there onto Geno. He's already gone.
Knockup comes through, so does the final judgment. It does hurt PolarBearMike, but Weekend might need a little bit of assistance as Baskin's made him his target, but it's Scream the one who's really gnashing his teeth. ShadowChair falls underneath the tier 2 tower for a double.
Brutal right now. How do you stop Scream when he's off to this kind of lead? 5-0 and 5.
Yeah, I think you don't.
My man's level 18 is Robin. This class change for Robin is really put some wind back in his sails. He had just spent some time on the bench after being a priority pick for months and months and months in the SPL, and very, very quickly has risen back to prominence, and it, without a doubt in my mind, in contest for one of the best junglers in the game.
It's a good pillar. That's going to slow Weekend down, give some room for PolarBearMike to land the taunt. Impaled against the wall. Desert Fury secures that one, makes sure. Then Weekend goes back to base.
Desert Fury is on an awfully low cooldown. 90 seconds, I want to say. And so
he is blue buff,
maybe even less than that. Indeed, 75. That's right. It was a change from 90 down to 75. So plus blue buff CDR, great point.
Yeah.
That's up so fast. Who cares if you use it a little bit loose?
Well, Fire Giant's being pulled here. Defender of Olympus channeled right on top of Geno, and he's going to put him up against the wall with the stun. They have to leash Fire Giant for now. They've stopped DPS on it. LG have, at the very least, stopped eUnited from grabbing this Fire Giant twice in a row now.
Sure, but at the same time, eUnited has kept LG stopping them from dealing Fire Giant for the last 4 minutes or so, and the lead just keeps getting bigger because eUnited keeps getting global objectives during these fights. Check out where Scream is. He's farming on the left-hand side.
Hello.
Teleport is going to maybe dissuade him, though Kiki is half health as he teleports in. Scream going to try and full commit to this tier 2.
Yeah, Scream now sees a kill and a tower. He was happy just for the tower, and he might have a chance to dunk on Kiki now as well, as he's happily here trying to take this trade, as Kiki, rightfully so, has got to run for his life. Mystic Rush is still available. Prana Onslaught does it, avoids the knockup, and he's not there with the Moonlit Walls in time.
Baskin going to join in and help out his new jungler. Now can't save his life. Weekend does get that shutdown bonus. Maybe Baskin a little bit too far forward, though. A well-timed D-transform, and one speedy boy gets Baskin out of danger.
And they have the tier 2 tower in right as well. So
I guess she's a girl, huh?
Indeed. You don't even have to guess, for sure. Morrigan
I don't want you to think, I don't want you to hear huh and think I'm guessing. I just say it because I'm poisoned by the internet.
Right. No, that is overwhelmingly clear, by the way. That you now speak in sound bites is overwhelmingly clear. Gold Fury added to eUnited's list of accolades to go along with the tier 2 tower. They don't need the Fire Giant, apparently. eUnited are stripping literally everything else from the map.
Check out what Scream just finished. A Lono's mask.
Hello.
And then he's going into Titan's Bane. So there's a lot of experimentation with masks.
Yes.
We knew Scream was going to do something weird eventually, right? Like that was just a given. So this is interesting, though. I don't know. It looks... It's like seeing cheese on a soup, and you're like, this looks kind of gross at first. Like I'm not sure I'm about this, and then you're like, well, I like soup, and I like cheese.
Right.
So maybe this isn't so bad because he is so far ahead that he's dealing 1,000,000 damage.
Right.
And the whole rest of his build is damage. So instead of going half and half, I'm gonna go some, you know, I don't know. Breastplate of Valors, where I'm putting out more damage because of CDR, but I'm taking less damage because of protection. And it's more about, yes, the dueling pillars here in the Fire Giant pit.
That actually looks sick, just visually. That was really cool.
So instead of going for these sort of half and half item options, Scream is going all offensive and utilizing the passives of these offensive items, like Jotun's Wrath, Shifter's Shield, Titan's Bane passive is going to be big for him still, and then using Lonos as his pure tank option, while still relying on the damage that he's built to get over the hump of that -20%. Instead of going, everyone's kind of thought of Lonos as you take a damage character, you build full tankiness, you get Lonos, now you're super tanky, unkillable. Scream is saying this is a cost-effective defense item that, yes, takes away some of my damage, but it's worth it in the tankiness I get.
Yeah, it does feel like a cheaper sort of like mantle, kind of like last item option, right, that he's going for. Especially if Scream is expecting this game to end relatively soon, then I really like that call, right? It's a way for him to kind of get this, kind of give him some protection.
Sure, but at the same time, if he's got the gold for Mantle, which he clearly does because he got Titan's Bane 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He did go Titans 2 after.
Why not just buy the Mantle and not lower your damage output? He just rooted Weekend for 138.
My man's doing all right. KikiSoCheeky taking a bunch of damage. Good final judgment. Does bring PandaCat low, but he jumps away. Weekend commits the knockup onto him, and Desert Fury returns plenty of the hurt when he turns back around. Geno, the next one that could be in trouble, dancing inside the Suns, looking for a Mez. He's able to reposition as well, but Benji not going to let him.
Weekend just can't do enough damage. He went too tanky, and as a result, PandaCat still standing. Clout gonna use the beads and jump away, and you guys like Athena ults? How about another one?
Baskin and PolarBearMike, the twins here putting in work. Still though, Geno's the only one that's fallen along with the Phoenix in mid lane, so LG will get a chance to regroup. Weekend goes in, but the taunt immediately gets the collapse. Baskin finds yet another kill. eUnited trying to decide if they want Phoenix or if they want Titan, and Phoenix, I think, might be the better call.
A little bit safer. They do need to get this minion wave if they want to be particularly safe, as PandaCat still no relics as he's down again. below that 20% threshold, though some serious lifesteal with those Devourers gone. Let's get him back up to almost half.
Kiki so far forward. Yeah, this is exactly what I was worried about, but a good job getting away from that one with the Moonlit Waltz. Waxing
Nice
Moon
ball.
finds 2 and pow! Right through ShadowChair with the final judgment finds a kill. PandaCat's damage was pretty key, so they might have to fall back.
PBM still level 18. Benji wants to keep on going. Gets the beads out from ShadowChair, and no one's even looking at Benji. No one's even throwing a cooldown his way.
Yeah, they don't care about this Bellona. Not 26 minutes into this match. They know there's really not much chance here, but eUnited have done everything that they need to do. They got their mid-Phoenix, got the Phoenix in right lane. Yes, they lost PandaCat's life, and I'm sure they're okay with that trade as they can now fall back up an absurd near 20,000 gold.
I don't think I've ever seen a team so disinterested in hitting someone 1v4. Luminosity was like, nah, dude, would like chill.
What's there to gain, really?
Not a whole lot in their defense. If Scream is lurking there. He doesn't have Blink, but may have had his ultimate up by that time.
Sure.
And if Luminosity commits a bunch of cooldowns to Benji, you're right, they almost certainly don't kill him. And then Scream's able to come in and potentially take advantage. I'm not saying it was a horrible play by Luminosity. It's just a full-on disengage.
It's indicative of this lead, isn't it?
Yes,
Right?
exactly. For very quickly. And look at Benji, what he sells the boots, doesn't pick up chin size. Kret somewhere groaning, but instead goes for the hastened katana. So if ShadowChair or Kiki or Clout, you know, if anyone wanted to get away from this Bellona, that's kind of been taken off the table.
Yeah, it's now a pipe dream, a laughable afterthought trying to get away from Benji on this Bellona at this point in the game. And there will be no breather, there will be no respite for LG. Even though the Fire Giant is about to fall off in a few seconds, it would appear that they want to try and force down this left Phoenix anyway. They have such a comical lead at this point, they might as well.
Scream with that low nose, looking to zone away. Geno sets up ShadowChair. Another good ultimate from ShadowChair right on time.
PandaCat's been the target repeatedly, and Weaken up in the air might have a chance to finish him off, but instead he holds back. Baskin's very low as well, but he goes for PandaCat in the backside. Desert Fury immunes the knockup, but KikiSoCheeky comes through and puts the Lion down.
Baskin still has that ultimate, but he's already poked out pretty low here. Another good defense by Luminosity, and you're right. I mean, PandaCat has absolutely been the focus so far.
Oh, yeah.
It's tightened down to about half HP from this mid and right side of Fire Waves, but Luminosity will be able to defend without much issue. At this point, PandaCat has to recognize this and start staying way in the back. He's been trying to get in and throw some Shifting Sands down, trying to help out these team fights a little bit, go a little bit better. It's hard to initiate with Shifting Sands down, but it's just been Geno Blink ult. PandaCat's been getting hit by Final Judgment. He's been using Aegis in that spot. Now, if he wants to continue to position aggressively, and that's part of eUnited's plan, then an alternative is that he holds on to Aegis and just understands that, okay, ShadowChair is 2 for 2. He's going to time this well. There's no reason for me to use this Aegis. I'll just jump away right afterwards, and then at least has some sort of defensive option afterwards, because it was Kumba, Thoth ult got Aegis, Weaken's ult got the beats, and then Kiki came in and cleaned them up after that. I mean, so that was 4 ultimates with one purpose, and that was kill PandaCat. But in the late game, that is sometimes a worthwhile investment.
And apparently it actually was. I mean, eUnited unable to grab that left Phoenix. Now remember, that was them timing that right when the Fire Giant was falling off, right? Right when LG had some time to push up some waves. They weren't quite at their peak for that push, but this time they will be back and grabbing one more FG as a team. Mid Phoenix will be back up in its weakened state, so will the right Phoenix. They can push those down likely very easily, and then look for left Phoenix if they want to again, or even just go right for that Titan, man. Putting into this one.
It's already the Titan's so low that if Benji ults that and gets 2 Athena ults from Baskin and PBM, that might just be enough damage. But you can't let this right side Phoenix respawn for long, because now that all 3 Phoenixes are up, that Titan will start to regen health. Check it out, right above the health bars of Luminosity on your right side of your screen. Ticking up, slowly but surely.
About 50 a second it looked like. I didn't know how much it was. 50 a second or so, right around there. Is what it was looking like to try and help that Titan get back up to form. United, though, don't appear to be particularly rushed, waiting on their next minion wave to come in, and they're going to start on the right side Phoenix. They'll allow Benji to keep the mid one pushed up. Sometimes you see the junglers come over here and handle this task, but with the way Benji's playing, yeah, let him just walk in and auto it.
Pops a health potion and Doesn't seem to be
No
too
one's gonna
worried.
stop him.
Yeah, look at how is he taking no damage from this Phoenix?
It looks like he's healing, doesn't it? He's nearly full the way he was before. He pulls Clout and
goodness.
Weaken over. PandaCat finds KikiSoCheeky up through the Cosmos. Is weakened, but is there a target he can even take as PandaCat goes in aggressively? He does knock him up. Beads are there in response. ShadowChair falls as well. Clout in some trouble now. No one there to save him. Benji with the dunk puts a flag through his corpse.
Now Geno gets to escape to the fountain, but Luminosity is going to have to start thinking about game 2 because eUnited has claimed game 1.
Game 1 should be going the way of eUnited without too much trouble. They're going to add Weaken to the casualty list for this one. eUnited looking just as strong as they looked in their set earlier on in the week. We had some questions about this swap, right? How long is it going to take for Baskin to start looking comfortable? How long is it going to take for eUnited to get back to their eUnited ways? Well, it turns out no time at all.
No downtime necessary.
Yeah.
It's a quick pit stop basically for eUnited, and they're right back out on the track. These guys continue to look really good. Baskin went 6-0-9 in that game, was phenomenal. PandaCat did a lot of work, and it's so much fun to watch high-level Anhur players. One of my favorite gods to watch be played at a high level. It's Naja, Tyr, Ra, those sorts of god. Anhur is right there with him. Just so much playmaking, so much flexibility in that kit, and PandaCat really put it all on display in that one.
And I like the flexibility that this is showing us from Baskin, because you highlighted early on, right, that he wasn't getting all the farm that he normally is used to getting from his time on Space Station, right? He wasn't getting repeatedly soloing Rev Bus and stuff like that. Even in a team environment that's a little bit different, Baskin doesn't look like he's missed a step either.
No, and I mean, you could have seen that exact same composition be played by Venenu in the way that he, I mean, I think the big thing that stood out to me about Van and his time with the United was how flexible he was and how he plugged whatever hole needed plugs for the team composition. He could be the hard carry, he could be the support, he could do this for you, he could do that. That felt like a very Ven-style performance from Baskin, where he just kind of was the toolbox and found whatever they needed at the exact right time.
Whatever is that squad needed from in that game. But who is going to be your MVP for that game? I posed this question to you out there in Mixer chat. Benji does kind of stick out for me in my mind, repeatedly being an unstoppable juggernaut towards the front. Any front runners for you?
Screammmmm was off to a great start.
Yes.
He really did kind of put the final nail in the coffin by my estimation. PandaCat made a lot of plays, though, really controlled that left side of the map. Baskin had a great scoreline, and I don't know that Mike was in that game, so I probably wouldn't vote for him.
Yeah, apparently LG thought PandaCat was the MVP, right? They put
with
4
their
ults in him every single fight, so maybe that's who it should be, chat. We'll leave that one up to you, and I'll leave the analysis over to the desk and let them talk about what happened.
Thanks a lot, guys. Tom and Tucker here to break it down. And game number 1, what was that, a 25,000 gold lead?
A little bit of early game pressure from eUnited on that one. Seemed to have really come back to haunt Luminosity, but it was a little bit of just kind of the risk versus reward situation, if you ask me, because Luminosity, I think, came into this match with the understanding that these are not laning phases you win outright, and eUnited kind of just abused that fact, and that's one of the dangers of trying to go for these risky drafts, because you never know when a team just decides to be like eUnited and completely strong-arm the whole playing field.
Only 3 kills in total for LG, and while we sang the praises of them in the pregame, the postgame certainly tells a different tale. eUnited came through on top. Baskin, like Ryan said, I think he put it best, saying that Baskin was just a toolbox.
I will put this one out there, though, in that Luminosity, the last 5 minutes of this match did not seem as one-sided as they had been for the first 15 minutes, because that was when a little bit of farm and XP finally started to get built up for the team, and I think had this stretched on much longer and eUnited had chosen to waste a little bit of time there, then we might have ended up seeing a different outcome here.
Well, luckily for eUnited, they did not waste their time, and they put their money where their mouth was, took the victory, and a big part of that victory was the solo laner, Benji. This guy came through, as he continues to do all throughout Season 5, Season 4, Season 3. I mean, this guy has just been consistently, ridiculously out of control, and today he just continued his mark of dominance.
And on the Bellona, of all guys, she's someone that we really have not had a whole lot of chances to see as of late, or even much at all in Season 5, but she does have her star appearances from time to time, and this one was no different. Benji did a great job, took full advantage of that pressure that he had in solo to help assist Screammmmm on those invades, as well as the team fighting environment. I like that he didn't initiate every single time with the Eagles rally, holding it for the protections for when they wanted to go for the dive commits, made a big difference for finding kills underneath tower.